Welcome to another video in our game of craps. One point of advice before I talk about what we're going to talk about today, and that is in any gambling system, it's quite crucial that you follow the system to a T. Unfortunately, our own built-in gut feel can sometimes get in the way, and quite often we will go off the system. So even given the perfect system that would guarantee you a win of, say, $40 to $50 an hour, there's a good chance that you would not follow that system because you'd be either trying to win more or trying to push this beyond the system and maybe try and come up with your own. So, taking that with a grain of salt, today we're going to talk about using the don't pass as an insurance bet against the 6 and 8. If you have not watched my video on the 6 and 8s, there would be a good time to go back and watch that one before you watch that, because we're not going to really get into about these 6 and 8 bets. So, what I tend to do is when I come up to a table, if it's in the middle of a roll, I will look at the table to determine if it looks like it's possibly in a lukewarm to getting hot table. You can do that by looking at the table and seeing there's a lot of chips out there. And people are putting bets on all kinds of crazy things like the hardways bets and that sort of thing, and there's a lot of money on the hardways bets. That's a good indication that this table is in the middle of a hot roll. Now, unfortunately, it could be towards the end of that hot roll, but at that point you might want to jump on the table and take the initiative and get out on the 6 and 8 and just use what I discussed in the last system where you're pressing up the 6 and 8s and taking off your money. Make sure you take your profit though. I don't care how hot the table is, because it could be near the end of a hot roll, and the moment you put them out, you get one hit and then you lose them both and you're in a negative situation. So still, use your judgment when you do that. So, having said that, I will wait till the end of a roll, and quite often rolls are fairly short. Somebody will get out on a number, they might hit a couple of points, and then they'll 7 out fairly quickly. Once that happens, I will then take a $5 chip and I'll place it on the don't pass bar, waiting for the shooter to roll. The shooter rolls, one of the numbers is hit. If he hits the 5 or 9, I will take $9 and put it behind my bet here. That $9 will pay me back $6 if he 7s out before he hits the 5 or 9. Now, in that case, I now have the 5 working on the negative side for me here. So if the 7 rolls, I would win $6 plus the 5, which is 11. At this point, I will then take $12 and send it to the dealer and say, put me up on the 6 and 8. Now I have $12 out here. Should the shooter hit the 7 right away before he hits the 6 or 8, I will win my $11 don't pass bet, but I will lose $12 here. So it takes the sting out of the lose. I'm only $1 down at this point. Now, the good thing about the don't pass bets is that you can put them on or take them off the board anytime you like. So I put up my 6 and 8. The shooter hits one of my points, hits the 8. At this point, I can take my winnings from the 8 and I can take the 8 down as I discussed in my last, but I can also take my odds off of my don't pass bet. So that $9 that I put down there, I can remove it. I still have the $5 playing on the don't pass, so if the shooter should 7 out right away, then it will not be as bad. I'll lose $6 here, but I'll win $5 on the don't pass. So, suppose the shooter rolls and hits the 6 again. At this point now, I might take my profit off and take my don't pass bet off altogether. That is an option. However, you've got to understand that any one of these numbers, if you get out on them during a roll, on the don't pass side of the house, that is in your favor, because the 7 has 6 ways of coming up, and all of these numbers have less than 6 ways of coming up. So you are in a positive situation, especially if you happen to be on the 4, 5, 9, or 10. They're even a better position. The 4 and 10, there's only 3 ways to come up. The 5 and 9, there's only 4 ways, and you have 6 ways of winning with the 7 coming out. 6 and 8, now there are 5 ways of coming up, so you're talking 5 to 6. You might want to, if you happen to be on one of these, take it down off of the don't pass side if you get hit. if one of these becomes the point and you have your don't pass, you might want to just go up on the opposite number. So if the 6 comes up, you might want to put, you have your $5 here, you could put $6 behind it. The $6 will pay off $5 if he 7's out. You can then go up, say, on the opposite number, playing for the number. So you go up for the 8 and you pay $6 and it will pay 7 to 6. If he hits the 8 and you win it, you might really at that point want to consider taking that bet off, taking your don't pass bet off and going up on the 6 for the number. There's a lot of people that would tell you, well, you know, you're silly to do that because the odds are against you. But on the other side of the coin, the 6 and 8s come up quite a bit. And if the shooter happens to start getting hot, you're going to lose that 6. You might want to wait for a couple of rolls to happen and then take the don't pass bet off and go back up on the 6. But the don't pass bet is strictly for insurance purposes. Don't press it up too much. Don't put the odds up too much. By putting odds up on a don't pass bet, you're really kind of diluting the bet because the odds pays off at even, is even. That's the way they write it. So that if you put, say, $9 odds on the don't pass for the 5 or 9, it pays off $6, 3 to 2. So you have to be careful about that. And if you take that bet off and leave, say, just your base $5 on a 5, now it's in your favor. So it's 6 to 4 paying for you. So as I say, the odds bets on here are probably a good insurance against the 7 out, but get them off of there as quickly as you can and sit up on your 6 and 8 and sit and wait and see what the roll is going to do. And if it's hitting a lot of numbers, you're really in good shape. For your information as well, the 4 and 10, the don't pass bet on the 4 and 10 is a pretty good bet. However, the odds only pays 1 to 2. So if you have a $5 bet in the 4, and he hits the 4 as the point, you put $10 on the don't pass as odds, it only pays $5 back. Whereas if you lose it, you will lose your $10. Sometimes what I like to do, if I'm hitting the 4 and 10 and if the shooter's, and I leave the odds bets up and the shooter's hitting a few numbers, I might want to come out here and put just $1 on the hard 4. You notice it pays, well, on this board it pays 8 to 1, but generally it pays like 7 to 1. If that pays 7 to 1, that lessens the number of 4s he can hit. So now he only has 2 ways of hitting the 4, a 3 and a 1 and a 1 and a 3. A 2 and a 2, you actually pay off here, which will offset your insurance odds bet on the don't pass line. Once again, if you have any questions on this style or method of play, by all means, send them in. I'll be happy to hear from you. Thank you, and have a good day.